Chidanandji,
Oh,
please unmute and start saying.
yes, I have done that.
Yes, please.
Namaste, good evening, everyone. So we have one more theme to apply our minds to, and that is the empty heart. In Buddhism, they talk a lot about emptiness. And certain Indian wisdom traditions also have talked about emptiness in a little different way. Sometimes it is rightly said that different schools of wisdom seem to differ, but when you examine them closely, at least some of those differences are found to be more a matter of linguistics. It is in syntax, it is in semantics, it is in the meaning that is attached to some words and so on. Anyway, we are not here to make any comparison between schools of wisdom or systems of thought, etc. What is this empty heart all about? Somebody could misunderstand an empty heart to be a heart having no feelings, no sentiments, no emotions. God forbid, that is not the meaning. Empty heart here is that heart which does not either keep any hurt or keep any pride. Somewhere in his talks, Krishnaji has given at one go two two contrasting scenarios. He says, is it possible for you to enjoy a beautiful sunset and then walk away with the same emptiness of heart as you had before seeing the sunset? And the very next two sentences, he asks, is it possible for you to be going away with an utterly empty heart after somebody flatters you, praises you immensely? So, it's not exactly contrast. Both are beautiful. But if somebody had scolded us, somebody had talked ill of us, somebody spoke to us with not enough regard, some kind of unpleasant thing were to happen to us, and we take note of it. We are never tired of clarifying that someone with great amount of wisdom is not totally insensitive. It's not that the lady or man of certain wisdom does not distinguish between praise and insult. She rather knows this is insult. This is maybe a very unfair and wrong way of treating me here. She recognizes. And like it could happen to any human being, like it could happen to majority of us, she also gets a pinch of pain, a pinch of sorrow. Is this the way that person should talk to me? Is this the way for me to be treated? That thought does arise. That's where the suggestion of empty heart seems to be having a lot of significance. Even as we do get a bit embarrassed by some treatment, is it possible to empty it out? In one of the Vedanta works, namely Viveka Chudamani, a very popular work for its poetry, for its large number of metaphors and certain other features of good literature, Viveka Chudamani, running to 582 verses. It's a very popular work. And in that, the example is given how an intelligent person is like a pot with a crack. Not crackpot, but cracked pot. A pot which has a crack. No matter how much you try to fill that pot with water, you can never fill it. Because of the crack, the water keeps flowing out, right? In a little while, this pot is again empty. And in this case of empty heart, flatter this man or praise this lady, call her the most beautiful woman on the earth, say to her, I have never seen such a good person as you are, etc. And once more, I would say, she would like it. She may give out a beautiful smile. You think so? Thank you for saying that. She may even thank you. She may express gratitude to you for saying those kind words to her. But if she is truly alert, agile, or what do you call that, vigilant, if she is truly watchful, and that's easier said than done, for to be with what is, with all your attention, is next to impossible for most of us, for the overwhelming majority of us. For what is a certain gratification. Somebody comes to us and says, you are so lovable. You are so marvelous. And a certain happy feeling arises. Now, that happy feeling is understandable. What happens in the mind of most people? There is additional thought. Thought intervenes. This is the type of people whom I want to meet every day, who will praise me. How nice it is if this person spends some more time with me. Some of my friends are coming in a short while. It will be wonderful if this person says once more to me in presence of all of them, how marvelous I am, and so on. These thoughts arise. Wanting more of pleasure, wanting more of, gratification. Half an hour back, a friend of mine came to meet me, whom I have met after 1981. That means 41 years later, this wonderful, good friend of mine came to see me. And without making that example too long a narration, for his sake, I brought, in Chennai, where I am, the famous Mysore Pak. They don't even say Mysore Pak. Mysore Pak of Sri Krishna Sweets here. And I brought it for him because this old friend is meeting me. I took a small piece and suddenly my tongue and then my mind, then my heart, my whole being was filled with happiness. Mysore Pak. That's all right. That will happen to a wise man also, not to somebody like me alone, even to some awakened person. By the way, I am not awakened at all. Don't mistake me. Long way to go. So, and I'm telling you, I took a small piece, and even as Mr. Kulkarni did not even touch the full piece I had given him. It's pretty long, 3 inches long. I took 1 inch long and swallowed it, and my thought process started. My friend has come to meet me after 41 years of no contact. On this occasion, I can take a full piece, if not a second piece. This is called, moving away from what is. Sorry if I brought in too much of description of the scenario. My intention is to illustrate what is and what is beyond what is. If you and I put our foot upon a banana skin and fall, and we get pain in our knee, we fall down and get injured, that pain is what is. We experience it. But if thoughts begins, why did I fall today only? Why did my friend not fall? Why did I fall when some people are watching? I could have fallen in some solitary place. Looks like somebody took a picture already with this mobile phone. All this. So, what is emptiness? Without going for more examples, let me tell you. Emptiness is that state of attention, that state of being so alert that what is perceived. If the physical pain, or in the case of the Mysore pa that I ate, if the sense pleasure lingers on, you know, that is what is. I perceive it. Even after it goes inside, for some more time, the enjoyment on the tongue might continue. But the thought saying, let me have a whole piece, and thought can be very mischievous. After all, I brought that 300 grams. Okay, after Mr. Kulkarni leaves, I'm going to take one more piece. All kinds of thoughts may arise. Can we visualize the absence of such thoughts? And mind you, in no way we mean that we are suppressing any thought. I want to have another Mysore Pak, is one aberration, one deviation. And somehow I suppress that thought, let us say, shh, I don't want to think about this. That is no alertness. That is no emptiness. What is notable, I'm sure you have already got it, but let me put it in a few words. What is notable about the empty heart is it's not just about pleasure, it's about pain also. It's not just about flattery, but it's about insult also. It's not just about good things, but the so called bad things too. In fact, a lot of human values, such as forgiveness, you and I read, you must learn to forget and forgive, and so on. And we say, typically, we advise people younger to us next day, you must learn to forgive. Okay. To advise others is so easy. However, what is involved in forgiving is nothing but the quality of insightfulness, the quality of noticing how the self, by refusing to forgive or by making a virtue of forgiveness, wants to orchestrate forgiveness, wants to probably you know, forgive by an act of will, by an act of sankalpa. All right, I think I will forgive her. I think I will. What is this? I think I will, and so on. True forgiveness happens when one sees the immaturity of clinging to any hurt, the immaturity of holding on to some Resolve. Sometimes when somebody insults us, we resolve. We do a sankalpa. I will teach him a lesson. Dekhte raho. Give me some time. I will humiliate him in the same way, if not in a worse manner than he did to me. Some such resolve rises in us. After a while, our anger or our hurt may come down for some other reasons, including loss of memory. But then we remember the resolve. And there's a strange psychological phenomenon in human mind. We remember the resolve, irrespective of whether we told somebody or we resolved quietly in our own mind. We remember the resolve. Did I not decide to give it back to him? Did I not resolve to settle score with him or her? And I think I will teach him a lesson, then only retire, etc. What's going on? Is it not childish? That's why I used the word earlier, immature. Immature behavior involves keeping account of who praised us, who insulted us, who treated us well, who did otherwise, etc. Very strange. Those of us who are caught in that, cannot even see why it is immature. They would imagine, you know, ah, if I allow everybody to ill treat me, and in the name of forgiveness, which is much praised in the world, I just don't do anything. Well, that's not fair, number one. And more and more people will take undue advantage of me. I will become a doormat. All such thoughts arise in us. Therefore, alas, human mind is quite confused about what is right, what is wrong. Therefore, if you permit me to say, in traditional wisdom also they say inner transformation is not at all easy. It requires divine grace. That's the word they use. Now, whether you believe in some divine power or not, one thing is sure that this inner transformation is hard to come by, is hard to happen. The inner transformation. A moment ago, I found it impossible to forgive somebody. And a moment later, I see clearly that it is so foolish to keep the memory, to cling to the memory, to hold on to the memory of something unfair that was meted out to me, and go riding, keep riding on that sense of having to take revenge or hoping that somebody will teach that man a lesson. I will watch it from a distance and be happy about it, etc. Thoughts come. One moment later, our intelligence, our mind notices that it was so foolish. It's so foolish that you cannot stay anymore in that state of mind. In ignorance, we stay in a state of mind which is so disorderly. We won't leave that state. But in a strange, mystical transformation, in fact, I will be happy if Harshadji or someone makes a comment on what is the mystery of transformation. How come one in a million is transformed? Sometimes some people um, report that they went through some death experience and following that they were transformed. They went through some trauma, they went through some agony. Typically, it is something painful, something frightening, something most uncomfortable. But after that, they get back and they feel they are changed. Something as though happened to them which they themselves cannot explain. something descended on them as though. So coming back to the theme proper, this empty heart is the heart where that great change has taken place. I'm fully aware that going on describing something could many a time do injustice to the whole topic, because can we ever forget what Krishnaji often said? The description is not the described. You and I read about the empty mind, empty heart, like the pot with a crack which doesn't keep water. So this heart also neither keeps any sorrow nor keeps any celebration, any elation. It gets empty. One moves on. One walks away from the sunset. And though one had thoroughly enjoyed the sunset, as one walks away, one is no more caught in the memory of the sunset. One moves on to whatever emerges thereafter. One may meet somebody, one may see something else, and one is fully into what has now come before one. This is all wonderful description, but if we cling to the words that are describing such a scenario, we will only become like parrots. A parrot also can remember a lot of words and go on talking also. Therefore, the tragedy in all this pursuit of truth or pursuit of wisdom is 99 out of 100 people just hold on to words, hold on to descriptions, and they describe somebody as wise, somebody as unwise. They describe themselves as having reached somewhere, and so on. Such noise fills the mind of everyone typically. So we need to be very careful. In life, most important thing is to be careful, whether it is handling money, handling people, and handling oneself. Oops, how our mind can time and again floor us, time and again our mind can throw us off balance. We begin to fancy something. There are times when you and I imagine ourselves becoming rich and famous and popular and whatever. That is one trip through which our mind takes us. And who among us is free from occasions when our own same mind, so to say, creates or paints a dark picture of our own? We have, let's say, some lack of energy one morning. Somehow we are not in good mood. And then our mind begins to say, at this rate, you are only 68. Already, morning 10 itself, you have no energy. At this rate, when you become 70, what will happen? When you become 74, oh dear, you are now going down the slope. Your end is near, dear, says our mind. This is all the antithesis of the empty mind. Next time you and I in this gathering, all of us are getting old, older, you know, and therefore it is extremely relevant, I would imagine, to say next time you and I find either lack of energy or being engulfed by some negative thoughts, feeling lonely, feeling everything meaningless, whatever it is, it would be good for us to remember these are what this mind tends to do, and really speaking, no matter what the mind does, We have only one job, so to say. It's not exactly job, but in a manner of saying, we just have one job to do. If I have no energy, I'm already pretty tired at 10 a.m. The day has begun, but I feel like lying on the bed. Whatever you do, okay, lie on the bed or sit on a sofa, but for heaven's sake, do not fill your mind with more secondary thoughts, tertiary thoughts, and so on. Be with whatever your mind is saying. That is what is the very cute and important expression. What is means consciously you have not generated it. Consciously you have not invited it. It's like you are sitting at home and out of nowhere, you know, some dust falls on your head. Or you are sitting in a garden on a bench. Out of nowhere, a light feather of some bird comes and falls right on your lap. That is what is. You did not pick a bird's feather and place it on your lap. It fell on your own, right? So, by what is, I would say, is meant certain emotion, and we don't know how it came, but it is in me. One morning, or I am just saying one morning in the form of a phrase, any moment, a certain state of mind is here. That is what is. But can we notice it? Can we watch it without taking it for real, nor labeling it philosophically as unreal? This is Maya, this is illusion. We don't have to bring our philosophical knowledge over there. We may have read Vedanta, we may have read Buddhism, we may have read Krishnaji, but we should be cautious before we bring words and words. Best thing is do not bring any words. You have the state of mind of boredom or loneliness or sometimes super excitement. The best thing to do, if I may call it something to do, a job, is to gently have it in you, bear with it, have it in your consciousness gently, and let it speak to you rather than you labeling it as this is good, this is bad. Do not label it. That state of mind, pleasing or displeasing, may talk to you, may reveal something about you. Your loneliness, for example, upon being closely watched without a single comment, may reveal to you how you have been so attached to company. Somebody saying something to you, you saying something to somebody giving something to you giving something to somebody, etc. You know, you got so used to it. Now, what is loneliness? You are sitting in a comfortable room, maybe air conditioned during the summer months, but you feel so lonely. Loneliness is nothing but a reaction of the mind that is so attached to company, and so on. You have no business to get attached, but you did get attached. Really speaking, if you were alert and vigilant, company comes and company goes. Friends gather, and some other time there is not a single friend around you. Why should it make any difference to you? But in lack of intelligence, when people are around you, especially doing things that pleased you, you said, haha, I want to have this more and more. And when there was no people, it became quite unbearable. There was a speaker saying this, I'll conclude. There was a speaker who was so used to having 300 to 500 audience all the time. But life is full of changes. Today she does not get even 20 people when she gives some lecture on some topic. Now, really, there is no problem at all. There is no need to have 300 to 500 in the audience, and there is nothing wrong with having only 20 people. Because why should you take giving a talk and having a large audience as the factor that decides how worthy your life is? That doesn't decide how worthy your life is. Your life is worthy when you have a certain inner silence and you attend to the true needs, biological needs, and to have a couple of friends who love you and you love two or three people. That's more than enough, really. You and I know the truth, but our attachments have lingered on. Attachments linger on because there was no attention given to the movement of this attachment. Therefore, let me pause here. I think I have touched on the essence of this empty heart. It's something that moves on without storing, accumulating pain or pleasure. And in the process in between, I talked about how a transition could take place. So we could go into that also. Thank
Thank,
you.
thank you, Chidanandji, for this good lecture. Harshad sir, would you please unmute and say? He will not be visible as light is not there, but we can listen his talk. Harshad sir, please.
Yes. Are you able to hear?
Yeah, we are very much able.
Okay. Thank you, Swamiji. And what I feel or understand by this word which you have used, the empty heart, probably what you are trying to say that it is a kind of a very alert, silent mind or a heart which sees everything very clearly and it doesn't get attached to anything, pleasure or pain or someone criticizing you or someone is praising you, but you just listen and it doesn't create more thinking and not getting attached to anything. Like in Bhagavad Gita, they call it sthit prajna, the characteristic of a person who just lives with what is. And it's like the life is like a, a river flowing with a clean water and any obstruction comes, it just moves around and moves smoothly. So that is what I understand, like this word you use, heart, and that heart is usually attached to the feelings, and the mind is connected with the thinking. But the mind and heart, they are very much interconnected, and the thinking can give rise to feeling, and the feeling can give rise to thinking. But this state of what you call the inner transformation, in that state, everything is seen as it is, and it is not affecting you in a positive or a negative way. And you see, yes, if somebody says something, and you can immediately see whether it is true or false through this sense of clarity or awareness, and it doesn't create too much unnecessary thinking and feeling. And how does this happen? I think you asked that question. What is the mystery behind this inner transformation, why only very, very few people are able to come out from this plane of thinking and feeling and come out above it and see very clearly what the thinking and feeling is doing and not being attached to the thinking and feeling. So probably what is why it happens is that maybe some people are very, very passionate to look inward. Generally, most people are interested in gathering knowledge, even in the spiritual field, what Ramakrishna said or what Krishnamurti said, and they gather everything. But some people, maybe they may be reading this, but while reading, they also begin to look inward. And then when they become very curious about what is happening and some kind of clarity comes, some changes begin to happen in the body and the brain. And then a person may be able to see things non-verbally, like Krishna ji asks this question very often, even to children, that how do you look at a tree, or how do you look at the face of your friend or husband or wife? So when such a thing happens, when a person is able to look non-verbally at a or a flower or a mountain or a river, that person is really mesmerized by the beauty of that, and he doesn't even think of writing poems, but just looks whether it is a movement of an insect or an expression, changing expression on the faces of people, or the beauty of colors and the shape. So when such a thing happens due to certain changes happening in the body and the brain, then a person feels that there's a different way of looking, listening, speaking, everything. Life becomes a different kind of life than the life of reacting to what people say. So many people in the history, Mirabai or Ramakrishna or Kabir or Krishnamurti or Raman Maharshi, many people have felt such clarity, and in that there is no illusion at all, because it one can see everything clearly. Even if a person feels a little bit hurt or anger, can see it arising, and the moment it arises, it is dissolved. So it is like being in a state of alertness, effortless alertness or awareness, which can see everything. And if there is any disturbance, that disturbance doesn't linger much. Very quickly, a person comes back to the stable equilibrium. Like in the physics, there is this idea, there's some noise coming somewhere. In physics, there is the idea of stable equilibrium, that if you keep a cone on its base and you slightly disturb it, it comes back to its original position. So that kind of stable equilibrium comes in the life of a person. It doesn't mean the person doesn't get disturbed, but that disturbance is very, very small, and the person comes back to the equilibrium of seeing everything clearly. So this is what I understand by the empty, that it is the state of alertness, and in that there is no ego, there is no effort. It is a non-verbal state, and in which thinking and the feeling can be seen very clearly. So I have said enough things. Okay, thank you very much.
Shakti ji,
Shakti,
please unmute.
unmute and say. Shakti ji, please unmute and say.
Yes, my voice is reaching, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. This, what is to stay with what is very arduous, because all our training, our conditioning is to move to what should be or what has been. So perhaps that's why this message of Krishnamurti to be aware, to be awake, that is important. And also to notice when one is not awake, to notice the inner tension. Because to stay with what is, as Swamiji has said, a quietness is needed, an emptiness, and the train of thought within one is so fast that we happen to listen and watch only intermittently. But it is important, I think, to see the significance of understanding in one's own life this possibility or impossibility of awareness, of watching in attention, without any demand for transformation or without any idea included in some sort of belief that if I do this, this will happen. If one can do it just like we say, art for the art's sake, and we can test out that what is it possible or not, or why is it so arduous? Why are we so attached to our conditionings and our inclinations? So these questions they arose within me. Thank you, sir.
Dinesh Waghmare.
Are you able to listen to me?
Yes.
Today's subject is also very interesting. Actually, JK has said many places, and Harshad sir has also said that thing, that the movement of thought, when we say movement of mind as well as the movement of heart, basically those two are not different. It is a unitary movement. Just for explanation, JK himself has said that he has used two different things, but basically the movement is unitary. Also, in today's topic, we see which what Harshad sir has said and Swamiji has said. I will just, in brief, I will conclude it, or I will just say something on this. What empty heart means when mind is empty. What the essence of JK's teaching is in this, as per my understanding, empty heart means mind is empty of thought, mind is quiet, mind is still, and then love is there. Whatever I could gather from the teachings, when love is there, here it is innocent. Innocent means it is alone. So that is the state what he says. It has no pretensions, no mask, no conflict. It is free here, and it is free because it has the insight. It has seen the truth. This is what even the essence of Swamiji and Harshad sir. But also we have to be very careful. JK has used this word exactly in the opposite sense at many places. So reference has to be seen in which reference he has been using the word. What he said, one that is burdened by the knowledge of mind. Empty heart, he has said, one that is burdened by the knowledge of mind. So there is no creation, only dullness of mind, a hollow, empty routine, because the mind, the heart is empty, and daily repetition of the things, earning money, pleasures like escape in the pleasures like printing cards, seeing the movies, etc., etc. So here, he has used empty heart in a different sense. So reference is to be seen. That is only the caution here to be taken. Here, he has also given the solution. He said, here, creativity is the solution. Here, heart is basically lonely and aching. And if one goes for the creativity, then that is the solution. He has given also the example of, say, football match. You see the football match, but you don't play the match, the game itself. You go to see the paintings of the painters, but you don't make painting yourself. So he said that creativity should be there, then only there can be some change. So these are two things. So there has to be a caution and reference is to be seen. In that way, in every JK teaching, reference is to be seen in what reference he is talking. Because many times he used the words in a different way at the different places. Also, what I want to say, there was an interesting question from Swamiji about the transformation. So here I would like to ask question to both Swamiji as well as Harshad sir. Are we not buying this word transformation? Normally what happens, suppose I am thirsty, there is a message from inside of me that there has to be a hungry, and I go for the water and I drink the water and that thirst is over. Similarly, if somebody feels fulfilled in every respect, so is there any need for such a transformation? Because we ourselves see that there are very few examples of this so-called transformation or so-called we have got our and based on those people like Mirabai or say JK or say other Kabir, we have made our norms that this should be there, then that man is transformed. So are we not making, is there any clutch here, or are we not making any issue here? We say one side, we say one has to remain with the what is, and so here are we not going for what should be? So this is question to both Swamiji as well as Harshad sir. Thank you.
Chidanandji, please.
Yeah, when we deliberate on this topic, trying to look at it from different angles, there is definitely a sense of this is what we should do, this is what we should not do, etc. That's part of an effort to understand some of these topics. But as the essence of the topic, when we go to the essence of the topic, which we are analyzing from different angles of view, the business of should and should not takes a back seat. Should and should not come into the picture only in terms of seeing things from different angles of view. Alert living, vigilant living, attentive living, or watchful living is always on guard, is very careful not to fall into the ego trip that this should and should not organize for us. If we fall into that trap, then the should and should not can lead to a lot of disorders. Even as, just to give one example, even as I visualize some should, then memory arises that actually this is how I did 7 or 8 times. Then pride comes up. Yeah, this is how things should be done, and I have been doing that, whereas these others have not been doing. So putting others down and patting myself on the back, or the other way down also. All others are doing. I only talk about this. I should do actually, but I have not been doing. So feeling guilty. Therefore, in discussion, these things have a place, but we need to let go of this division of should and should not. Just like we have to move away from this matter of reward and punishment. But to understand what is reward, what is punishment, how certain faulty systems of education which are very prevalent use reward and punishment quite a lot, you know. So to understand that, we talk about reward and punishment. Similarly, we talk about should and should not, but should and should not are not the domain, not the field where we should place ourselves. Again, I use the word should. We should not. Thank you. That's what I would say.
Parekh sir, do you want to say something?
Yes, I want to say that when there is this inner transformation, then all those doubts and questions, they lose importance. Only there is the seeing of what is happening in our mind outside as well as inside. There is just seeing and not disturbing it. But as long as such a thing has not happened, then there will be many intellectual questions. And people are generally asking many questions and arguing about it. But when everything is seen very clearly as they are, then all these questions and answers may also come. They are moving in the river of everything. And another thing I like to say about the creativity, that creativity may come out of this inner transformation, and that is a true creativity. It is an effect, and inner transformation is the cause, but some people are able to create, like music or painting. That may be the talent, but what Krishnamurti would call, or what I feel, the real creativity is it comes by itself out of clarity and silence. And so Krishnaji sometimes also wondering that when he is giving a talk, something new happens, some new sentence, and he himself wonders from where it comes. Like at one time he said, um, goodness does not fly in the field of time. Something like that he said. And he himself was wondering how this sentence came. So a real creativity, it comes by itself out of clarity and sight. And in that there is no effort involved. I have said enough. Thank you.
Pradeep ji, please.
Yes. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah.
Acha. Okay. Thank you. I feel metaphors are used when simple words are not able to communicate clearly. And invariably in such talks, so-called spiritual talks, or the saints, when we are quoting people, invariably metaphors are used. I always start with the topic, and today's topic is very interesting because when topic is given, each word of that topic is important to me. You see, the empty heart that is completely innocent. Well, we are posing something which can be taken as an ideal or should be, as per someone's understanding, perceived by a non-self, non-verbally. You see, and when we say going beyond should and should not, again becomes, it's a should. You see, one should not go beyond in should and should not. We should not bother about it. That becomes should. Then this may not be taken as a satire, though it has a number of it. It has humor in it. We have heard this in our discourses, and we frequently quote these things to which may be consolidate as a belief ultimately. The question is, Simple question is why special meanings are introduced to ordinary people who are familiar with general meanings or at best dictionary meanings. This is one question. Then observation, empty, so many people, other speakers have also talked about it. Empty, word empty has been used differently by different seers. Heart, definitely this heart is not a biological heart. Again, a sort of metaphor. Then completely word is another very interesting word, another subjective measurement. You see something like instantly this happens. How to know it to the person, for him instantaneous, and this complete, these are the words. These words, you see, the way we are discussing, all of us are discussing this emptiness and the heart, because somewhere Krishnamurti talked about empty heart is the heart that collects. You see, that collects, go on collecting. So that's why this is again a subjective stuff. The message, whether at the end of it, what is the message of this topic? Without should be. Then whether we are heading towards transformation of consciousness through transformed meanings, when the word is not the thing anyway, that this is what we get, this is what we see, this is what is in most of our discourses. You see, what is to me, what is everything in me and around me at any moment. So this is what is. So we talk, invariably, we talk and justify something which has been said in some context somewhere. We go on, somehow we bring, man has a capacity to justify virtually everything. So we have to be very careful when we talk of attentiveness, when we talk of what is. This is all I wanted to share with friends. Thank you very much for giving me time. And I will request Chidanandji or even Harshadji to respond to this, whatever I have seen.
Chidanandji, please.
Oh, you have narrated quite a few points. Can you just repeat the question alone in a sentence?
Okay, I will do this. First question is, audible? I'm audible, sir?
Very much, very much.
First question is, why special meanings are introduced to ordinary people who are familiar with general known dictionary meanings or known meanings in society? That is my first question. And that complicates already. Shakti ji was talking, it's very arduous, this thing is arduous, that thing is arduous. And we ultimately, when we go back in this arduousness, with the same complexity we came with, you see, this is my first question. If you respond to it,
Let me
please.
respond to that. Yes, I too had this problem many years ago. I also felt that Krishnaji was taking up certain words and probably attaching his own meaning and so on. But as I reflected more, it seemed to me that it's the other way around. See, the society has taken the word ambition, for example, and they even teach primary school children A for ambition and make the ambition as something very desirable. So even I went through such education. Therefore, when first time I looked at Krishnaji's teachings where ambition was questioned, I said, what's wrong with ambition? Ambition is good, because that popular meaning had got deep into my mind. Later, I found that really speaking, the word ambition invariably carries with it that personal ambition. I must go higher, I must become something, and so on. So, this dictionary meaning as well as the popular meanings, etc., have done injustice to the actual essence of many a thing. So, we in these dialogues, many times inspired by Krishnaji's writings or say, speeches, re examine the world. And that re examination helps us get out of some conditionings, some social influences. Therefore, dictionary meaning and the real meaning are many times different. Dictionaries normally reflect how the humanity has generally used a particular word. There may be some very good dictionaries where they steer clear of these conditioned meanings, but more often it is the social influence that shows up in dictionaries too. I guess that is my answer to the first part.
Next
You like?
Second question, sir. Second question. It's a related question. We were talking about transformation. Whether we are heading towards transformation of consciousness through transformed meanings.
Ah, yeah. I noted that, and I actually got a slight jerk when you said that. Um, uh, if it is just transformation of meanings, then we are just playing with words. So, transformation of consciousness is not just a matter of attaching some new meaning to words. Words are tools to a certain extent, but transformation of consciousness or that inner transformation we are talking of is letting go of certain outlooks, certain positions, certain prejudices, and so on. And it is on a non-verbal level. Words, which are the matter of verbal level, are how we clothe a certain outlook. Anger rises in me. Then, if I am more comfortable in English, I may use words like, there is anger in me, there is wrath in me, there is, what is that other word? Resentment in me. I may have 8 or 10 words, but I am actually expressing something which defies words. So, if it were to just change words or to just give a new meaning to a word, that would be a superficial affair, it seems to me, my understanding. True transformation is on a non-verbal level, our perception itself changes. If I was feeling envious, looking at rich people going in expensive cars, this inner transformation, for example's sake, would be I look at a lady going in a very expensive car with cooling glasses and maybe flaunting some other things. But I look at all of it and I may remember how there was a time when I used to feel envious. But now I just smile. I have nothing to envy, nor do I wish her ill, nor do I have anything negative about her. I just notice, yeah, there are some people who keep expensive cars, wear expensive dress, and they have their ways. Interesting. Full stop. So the perception itself, how I see others, how I see myself, is myself also is very important. There could be a time when, let's say, I went into a get together and my own dress was a bit shabby. I could be extra conscious. Oh my God, I did not even iron my shirt and my hair is disheveled and I don't know. Oh, and all that. Now, not that I become irresponsible or shameless. For certain valid reasons, I could not come in a very good dress, but I hold it lightly in my consciousness. I go there and do whatever I am supposed to do. somebody invited me lovingly, I go up to him and thank him or thank her. Thank you for calling me to this meeting. And if I am in a shabby dress and others don't like it, I keep a distance, but I am not overwhelmed by my own self-judgment. So maybe I went long in my answer. I think the inner transformation in one sentence is being free from all kinds of judgmentalism. That is on a non-verbal level.
Thank you, Chidanandji. Now you have to leave with this dress. It is a time.
I will
Still-
leave. I have to.
Just
I
I
have
am.
to-
Sir,
Just
sir,
I
still
am.
2 minutes are there.
No,
Yeah, go
sir. Please, Waghmare, wait a minute. Don't speak in between, please.
2
Let
minutes
him
are
go.
there, sir.
Let him go first, and then you can talk.
All
Goodbye.
right.
Question was
Goodbye,
We
Chidanand.
must- Okay, we
Goodbye.
must respect the coordinator or the anchor person. Yeah, actually, I need to go back to one extra meeting they have called at Vasant Vihar.
okay.
That's
Thank
why.
you.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Waghmare,
Thanks.
Waghmare, it
Thanks,
is your
everybody.
turn to speak whatever
Yes.
time you wanted to speak.
Actually, I wanted to put question to Swamiji, but now Harshad sir is there. Again, coming back to the this transformation.
Whenever I am interfering,
We not,
please take a note of it that I have been instructed to do so. Please.
sir, I have also taken a note that there were 2 minutes. So I tried to take advantage of it. Because
No.
all the time when time is there, you also say that the time is very less, and
We are always.
similarly, I also try.
If you just
I
watch,
also,
if you watch your extra things, you will notice that enough time has been given, and enough time is still we are ready to give you. You can come on and say whatever you like, please.
okay, next time I will put the same question to Swamiji. Anyway, this time Harshad sir is there. Again, coming back to the transformation, what I actually wanted to see, Harshad sir also always say that see the things. So what I wanted to see the thing, there is a difference between inner order and transformation. I think we have loaded this word transformation too much. Yes, I can understand inner order, but what about this transformation? This word automatically brings so many norms with it, isn't it, Harshad sir?
Yeah, the transformation is like a insect which is crawling, and then it gets the wings and it starts flying. So there's a transformation of the insect from insect to the bird. So similarly, a tree which is growing all the leaves, green leaves, and one day a flower comes, a beautiful flower, then you can say that is a transformation of the tree. And so on. When there is something really new happens in your life, which is non-verbal, and you feel that there is a non-verbal way of looking, and everything looks so very beautiful, very fresh, very new. It means that a new way has come of looking, listening, living. And in that, there are, if any disturbance comes, it doesn't become a burden. You learn from that also. If something disturbs you, then you look at it and you don't blame somebody, but you are curious looking at. So when that kind of curiosity comes in a person who is really want to understand why there are problems, what is it that gets hurt, so there are many images which we carry about ourselves of which we are not aware, and then we get hurt. But when there is a clarity, then when somebody says something, you can see whether it is true or false very quickly. And then it doesn't disturb you. And if it is false, you can tell the person, sorry, it is false. And if it is true, you can say, thank you for telling me. So that kind of clarity, non-verbal clarity, comes when your mind is very silent and very clear. Just like the metaphor given of a lake which has a clean water and the water is not moving, then you can look at the bottom of the lake very, very clearly, whatever is there. So from the unconscious, something is coming that can be seen in this silent mind. And so that is when it happens to a person, then a person says, yes, there is such a state of looking, listening is exists. Otherwise, you will doubt if somebody says that there is a way, non-verbal way of looking and very clear. So when it happened to me, maybe when I was very young, I used to look at the flower like that, but then it got lost because I studied all engineering and many, many problems. But when after reading Krishnamurti and looking inward, something started to clear up. And then I again begin to see everything looks so fresh, so new. So when such a thing happens, then you know it's non-verbal, and we have been saying it. And one sentence of Krishnamurti, he says we are not talking about the improvement of the self, but the elimination of the self. So when that sense of I or me goes, then only such a clarity happens. As long as me thinking exists, then you will argue and can make a small problem into a very big complicated problem. But when you begin to see it, there will be, even if conflict comes in our life, we can see the conflict is arising or anger is arising, and that seeing becomes the action. And that's why Krishnaji says perception is the action. So these are not just the words, one has to feel it. And Krishnamurti is able to talk about it like that because he speaks from his direct perception. So when we are also in that state of direct perception, then we can say, yes, what Krishnamurti says is true. Otherwise, we will have many doubts and questions. So,
So, sir,
is it possible to look at, is it
Sir,
possible
just
to
to
look at,
interrupt,
sir, let him
sorry to
finish.
interrupt, sir.
yeah, okay, I finish.
Sorry to interrupt, sir.
Yeah.
My basic question was whether inner order is important and it is not transformation.
No, inner order is important. It is a part. It's not the whole thing. Inner order.
Okay.
It's the effect. It's the effect.
Shakti ji, do you want to say anything, or you
Yeah.
want to say after Waghmare? Don't instruct me like this after Waghmare, because I don't.
I'm not instructing, sir. I'm requesting.
Please, that's fine. Please go ahead.
You see, one thing I wanted to add, because Krishnamurti about this what is, he also says that watching, observing what is, changes what is. That is what I have read and listened to him. And in very small things, I can vouch for that because, for example, when I come to these meetings, I come with a resolution that is a listening practice for me. I would listen and see if I can listen without interference of thought. But then I see again and again the thoughts pop up in my mind when somebody else is speaking. So that is what is. When somebody is speaking, thought popping up in my mind. But then I notice it, I watch it, and this thought drops and I am again listening. So this is true that watching very tiny experiment, but watching does change what is. The what is was not listening, and now after watching it is listening. I call it arduous because one needs to pick it up again and again. It doesn't become a default mode, but it is very true. Thank you, sir.
Waghmare, you wanted to add something?
No.
Thank you. Thank you. Should we end it now? If he has
Yeah,
no,
I want to say one sentence.
yeah, you can overrule me, please.
Yeah, thinking is not a problem. A problem is of seeing, which is not thinking. And we can call it awareness, choiceless awareness, intelligence. So when this intelligence is awakened, it can see thinking, and there is no problem. But when it is not observed, then thinking multiplies and it creates many problems. So our main problem is this awakening has not happened. Intelligence or awareness has not happened. So thinking becomes a big burden. Okay, thank you.
May I say one sentence, sir?
Sir, after Dinesh Waghmare. Dinesh Waghmare
Okay.
has raised his hand. Please.
Okay.
Sir, Harshad sir,
Yeah.
how do you place wisdom in between? Only seeing or only thoughts? Where does this wisdom has got placed?
Yeah, is that wisdom is acquired from reading books, or it has really happened? You know, non-verbal seeing.
After getting inside.
Inside. Then the problem's solved.
But where does
If
it
before.
stands? It is not neither seeing nor it is thought.
Is it?
So no voice is coming. No voice is coming.
Sir.
No voice is
You
coming.
are muted.
If it is not coming, let Pradeep say something. Pradeep sir, please, because it is
You are
7:25.
muted, sir. Harshad sir, you are muted.
It
Please,
is
unmute.
7:25. Please let Pradeep sir say something. Please.
Yes, yes, sir. This additional word can be removed.
Yeah.
Sir. What, sir? Anyway, to Harshad ji, whether one small question to Harshad ji, whether seeing is without any meaning, whether it is without any understanding, you may be seeing it fresh. It's the same rose plant you may be seeing fresh, but what do you see? It's not meaningless. It cannot be meaningless or without understanding. To me, maybe I am an ignorant person, but seeing itself, plain seeing is always associated with some understanding, which you may repeat. You ask for repetition next time. What do you? Cognition is not there. Without cognition, why do you want repetition? No. It may be fresh, but seeing itself cannot be meaningless.
Yeah.
Harshad sir, please unmute.
Are you able to hear?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes.
We are able.
Are you able to hear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So in this seeing, when you look at a tree, you are not thinking. But if somebody is asked a question, what are you looking at? Then you can describe everything. Otherwise, your mind is not unnecessarily chattering. So that is what we call seeing, non-verbal seeing. And when it happens, then you can see the beauty of it. First time, it is like looking at the same tree, but you feel as if you are looking for the first time.
Doesn't matter.
Prasad sir. Prasad sir, please unmute. Distribute Prasad.
Sir, I have a little problem with the title of the topic. Of course, Swamiji has explained that empty heart does not mean a heart which is without feeling. But that is giving an artificial meaning to the word. Empty heart means a feelingless heart, actually. That is the normal meaning of the word. That is how any lay person understands an empty heart. But Swamiji has given it a special meaning. And in that meaning, in that sense, of course, it is all right. That is, you are giving a special meaning. Supposing I say, according to me, love means hate, that is the meaning. Well, nobody can object to that. One can only say that is not the normal meaning. So that is one thing. Second thing, I would have put it as a full heart and an innocent brain. Or you can even call it innocent heart. A full heart and innocent brain. Innocent, full of course is used in the sense of highly sensitive. A full heart reacts for everything. It reacts to a flower, to ugliness, to beauty, to everything. A heart that is full of feeling, that is a full heart. That is the sense in which Swamiji has used the word empty heart. What normally we would call a full heart, Swamiji has called it an empty heart. Okay. So we will understand it, empty heart as a full heart. After that, what is innocent? Innocent, that word, Krishnaji explained it, an innocent mind is a mind that is incapable of being hurt. A mind that cannot hurt. If you insult me, I won't register it. When I don't register it, there is no hurt. So a mind that is incapable of being hurt, not simply not hurt, but incapable of being hurt, that is innocent. So, I mean, in Gita, of course, Swamiji, I think, has referred to that. That is Sthita Prajna or Nistraigunyo Bhavajana. That is, don't you go beyond all these three gunas. That is what Gita says. That is the sense in which the word innocent is used. You are beyond reproach, you are beyond flattery, and so you are not hurt. And then transformation, sir, is a hypothetical concept so far as we are concerned. What is transformation? Who is transformed? Whether Mirabai is transformed or not, who are we to judge that? Whether Ramakrishna is transformed or not, who are we to judge? Whether Krishnamurti is transformed or not, who are we to judge actually? How do we know? There is no way for us to conclude that somebody is transformed or somebody is not transformed. Whether a Muslim saint is transformed or a Christian saint is transformed, all these things are hypothetical. But we can see whether we are conflict free or not. If I am conflict free, if I have no conflict in my mind, then possibly I can say I am transformed. If I can observe my own mind and see whether I have conflicts, whether I have jealousy, whether I have envy, whether I have ambition, whether I have greed, we can see all these things for ourselves, and then we can try to be free of them. That free mind is possibly a transformed mind. That is all, sir. Thank you.
Sushilji, you are muted. Sushilji, you have muted yourself.
Huh?
You are
Uh,
muted.
Then end it. If I am muted, let everybody be muted. End it. End it. Please.
Okay, 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 no problem.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Innocent mind, we will. Okay.